It's a beautiful bacon day, Cookie Crusaders. Today I want to talk about the notice that we got in the news on Clotted Cream's cookies' regular attack and skill. This update means that we're going to be getting some changes to Clotted Cream. It could both be beneficial and it could be even more deterring in another direction. I find it hard to believe that we would get a super epic debuffed further than the current state that the cookie is in. I do not think Clotted Cream Cookie is a bad cookie, but it is interesting that they did mention this update, and I want to read it to you to kind of help you understand a little bit better of what they're talking about. So as you can see, we will be making a slight adjustment to Clotted Cream's cookie regular attack and skill. Display fix on the regular attack hit text. This really wasn't a problem. This is more just a visual problem for how the attacks were running, so it's not really easy to fully understand what's happening and how it's going on. So this will be a nice little fix to give a better visual as to how things are happening, but it won't actually change the overall attack or skill of Clotted Cream Cookie, because as you can see, while the actual damage is being properly calculated and applied, it may look as if Clotted Cream Cookie has only hit the target once. So they will be adjusting the display issues so that the damage text appears for the two separate hits can be easily identified. So that's just a visual thing. Skill not reaching opponent cookies in certain situations. So what this is that when the arrow goes and imprisons the frontline cookie, whether it be a tank or just anyone who's in the front, and putting them in the light cage, if it is hit by another ally cookie's knockback attack at the same time. So let's say Wildberry and Clotted Cream hit the same front cookie with the knockback at the exact same time. This will shoot back a cookie further behind the line. And why this is important is because the area of damage skill attack will not reach that cookie at that time. So what you may have not noticed in the past, and what is not necessarily discussed a lot because there's very few cookies that make it happen, is that if a cookie is out of reach, it can't be hit by a skill or by an attack. And so instances where this happens is when Chili Pepper and Squid Ink will jump behind or to the side of enemy lines and they can't be targeted. And that's just inability to attack them. But if a cookie's far enough away, it also cannot be targeted and attacked because it's just not in reach. So what's happening here is if the knockback happens at the same time as Clotted Cream's cookie skill, then because of animation speeds and everything, this will often happen, and I've seen it happen a lot. The cookie will be pushed back too far. The AoE damage skill will hit all the cookies in the front of the line, but it won't be able to touch the one that's imprisoned in the back. And so that's a lot of damage being missed out on just that back cookie, and potentially some other foes too, depending on how far it's supposed to actually be pushed back. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, and if it is changed in the sense where you do have it visually not pushing back too far, staying within the line, it will be interesting. It could completely change the ability altogether, depending on how they run it, because they said that they do want to make sure that the balance is there for the changes, because they do want to keep that as an important thing. As you can see, thanks for your support. Our team is currently analyzing and investigating thoroughly to see if there's any other discrepancies. So they're going to make sure that the attacks and buffs are happening as full as possible. Now, that's not to say that they didn't have an understanding of what Clotted Cream Cookie can do. It's more just there are millions upon millions of combinations of these attacks, of these abilities, of these team setups. So many different options of how you can set things up. And that's why it's very hard to test in full might the data of how cookies can balance and bring power to each other. They do, of course, have it in mind, but it's still, sometimes things can slip like this. So it'll be interesting to see what the changes are for Clotted Cream. As they said, it might take some time, so I wouldn't necessarily expect it right away, because Clotted Cream is still doing great damage in certain situations if you have him set up right. He's not as strong as Seafarer for an AoE damage cookie, but he is still doing good. And that's okay. A legendary being stronger is a fine thing. But it is something to keep an eye on. So what is your thoughts? What are your feedback? Do you think Clotted Cream will become broken if they do make an update, if they do make a buff? Do you think that Clotted Cream is not as good right now and you need a buff to happen? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for stopping by. You guys have a wonderful day.